Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your movie apprentice, and today I am looking at The Retaliators. This is a film released by Better Noise Productions, who are more known for their music, and as such, this film has a vast soundtrack, including songs from The Who and Papa Roach, as well as one of my favourite bands, From Ashes to New. And this is a film that follows a pastor who finds himself drawn into the dark side of the underground as he tries to discover the killer of his teenage daughter. Now, I haven't reviewed one of these limited small budget film releases in quite some time, but one of my favorite bands from Manchester New that I previously mentioned released a music video for a song that features in this film a couple of years ago. So when I saw that this had a screener going out for preview screenings, I of course had to jump in on this movie. And I will say that it's an okay movie, but it's not great. This is very much one of those films that is for the gorehounds specifically. This film is led by Michael Lombardi and Marc Menchaca, and is also supported by a cast including Jacoby, Shaddix of Papa Roach, as well as members of the band Five Finger Death Punch, among other members. And the film for me, like I said, is very much one of those for the gore hounds. There is some really gruesome gore in this, and the deaths that appear in this are very, very creative in how they get utilized. The makers of this movie clearly loved using fake blood and prosthetics, and there are some really gnarly kills that you can sink your teeth into. The soundtrack, of course, is really good, fronted by members of Askez Alexandria, Escape the Fate, The Who, as previously mentioned, Papa Roach from Ashes to New. The soundtrack is what was heavily marketed with this movie. But as for the story, it is interesting. I will give it that much. This is a pastor who tries to avoid conflict at all angles, and one of the earlier conflicts is, does he have the guts to stick up for his two daughters? So when one of them does unfortunately die because he failed them, he is racked with guilt and pain that he carries with him throughout the film until someone offers him a chance to be cured of that guilt and that pain. And the actions that this character takes throughout the film are questionable at times, and quite frankly, he is the instigator for some of the worst things that happen in this. But it is really well done. When it's him and the main cop on this case interacting, that's why I feel like the film comes its strongest. But for a film like this, I feel like there could have been a bit better production value. There is some really janky cinematography in this, and I know I can't really talk about bad lighting or color correction, but I am just a simple guy recording YouTube videos in his bedroom, whereas this is a major music studio that holds some of the biggest names in rock music making a movie. And for some reason, despite the trying to give the vibe of a horror movie, it very much is lit like almost an advert. There are some scenes where it is obviously being used set lighting, and scenes where it should probably be a bit darker lit, or the contrast should be a bit tighter, giving more shadows to the scene. It's just lit up like a Christmas tree, and that takes away any sort of tension or vibe. The cold open is really weak as well. This film very much struggles to find its footing for the first half of it. Once we get to the second half, and some revelations are made and some new characters are introduced, we get some really dark moments and some really gruesome kills in this. And when it gets to that part of the movie, that's where the film shines. That's where I feel most of the effort was put in. The main character, we care about him just enough to want him to succeed in what he's trying to do in this. But for the most part, the rest of the cast are pretty much throwaway. Obviously, our musical artists are not amazing actors, and the film knows that and keeps, for the most part, their dialogue to an absolute minimum. The only exceptions being that of either Moody having to play a member of this biker gang, and he has a fair bit of dialogue. There's a lot of forced exposition in this, and while it is only a 90-minute film and the pacing is generally well done, it does leave a lot of threads that we don't really care too much about. It feels like there's a lot of things that are being pulled together at random just to give us the final third of this movie, which is where it stands its strongest. And you can tell That's what all the effort was put in, because a lot of the production design that is quality in this is saved for that period of the movie. It is a revenge tale, but it is told in a unique, fresh way, and that was really enjoyable. It was a slog to get to that element of it, but when we got there, it is worth the wait to get to. I would say if you're a fan of a lot of the bands featured on this soundtrack, or if you're just a gorehound horror fan in general, then you'll get some passive enjoyment out of this. If you're just a casual viewer that doesn't really like gore, isn't really into the rock music scene, then there's not a whole lot for you to sink your teeth into in this, as a lot of the characters are very basic and serve a simple purpose, and there is nothing particularly wrong with that, but it can detract from those of you that might be watching this movie. So to summarize, The Retaliators is a fun little movie. It doesn't try to be anything bigger than what it actually is, which is a simple revenge tale with a little added twist thrown in there. The acting from the actual actors that are experienced is competent enough and gives us enough to sink our teeth into, but the script in this is really weak, and some of the side characters don't really have a whole lot about them, but you do get some really nice score in this, and it saves some of the best kills for the very tail end of this movie. It comes out tomorrow, so if you're in for a little bit of a gore fix, then by all means, check it out. If you're not really into the gore, you might want to consider giving this one a miss. I'm going to have to say that for me, The Retaliators is a tea that has too much milk. So, The Retaliators, have you seen it? If you haven't, let me know your thought down in the comments below. Let me know, is the quality of this video better than usual? I finally got a bit of extra lighting thrown in there, so hopefully the quality of these videos will improve going forward. Coming up on the channel, expect a bunch of reviews coming in the next few days. Bodies, 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 Crimes of the Future, and See How They Run will all be coming out this week at some point. But until next time, make sure you subscribe and drop a like on the video to help the algorithm. Start liking this channel again. And until next time, my name is Josh. I have been Movie Apprentice. And I'll see you all in the next one.